Am I audible to you? Just write in the chat box. Okay. So I am sharing my today's presentation slide. Just wait a minute. Now all of you clearly see these slides on your screen. Just write in the chat box. Aditi, Amisha Mundra. Did the slides clearly visible to you? Okay. So let's start today's class, and today's topic is cache memory. In the last class, we already studied the memory hierarchy, and you know that the memory hierarchy is in the form of pyramid. So the cache memory exists in the level 1 of that pyramid. The level 0 consists of the registers, and the level 1 consists of the cache memory. So today's class is basically of cache memory. So moving to the next slide. Now first, the introduction of cache memory. So basically the main advantage of using cache memory is its very fast speed. The other thing is that it can be accessed by the CPU at much faster speed than main memory. So basically the cache memory speed is much more faster than the main memory, and that's why we are going to use it. So cache memory lies on the path between the CPU and the main memory. So we will see its diagram in the next slide. So basically it exists between the CPU and the main memory. The other point is that it facilitates the transfer of data between the CPU and the main memory at the speed which matches to the speed of the CPU. As you know that the speed of the CPU is very fast in comparison to the speed of the main memory. But in order to match the speed of the CPU and the main memory, in order to transfer the data from CPU to memory, we need a cache memory in between in order to match uh, the speed in order to match the speed between the CPU and the main memory. The next point is cache memory bridges the speed mismatch between the CPU and the main memory. So all these points relate to that the cache memory is basically is of very fast speed, and it lies between the main memory and the CPU, and basically it bridges the speed mismatch between the CPU and the main memory. So these are the characteristics of the cache memory. So moving to the next slide. As you can see from the diagram that the cache memory lies between the CPU and the main memory. So the data is transferred to and fro from the CPU and the cache, and in the same way the data is transferred to and fro in between the cache and the main memory. So data is transferred in the form of words between the cache memory and the CPU. So when the data is transferred between the CPU and the main memory, we called it as word transfer. And when the data is transferred in the form of block or pages between the cache memory and the main memory, and when the data is transferred between cache and main memory, we called it as block transfer or pages transfer. So you must remember these terminologies. Between CPU and cache, it is called as the word transfer, and between cache and the main memory, it is called as the block transfer or page transfer. So all of you understand it. Just remember this diagram. This diagram is very important. Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. Okay. So moving to the next slide. So the next topic is types of cache. So there are basically two types of cache. One is called primary cache and the other is called secondary cache. So in the primary cache, a primary cache is always located on the processor chip. This cache is small and its access time is comparable to that of the processor register. So basically the primary the primary cache is located very near to the CPU. And that's why its access time is comparable to the CPU or registers. But its size is very small. In the case of secondary cache, it is placed between the primary cache and the rest of the memory. Means the rest of the main memory. It is referred to as the level 2 or the L2 cache. Often the level 2 cache is also housed on the processor chip. Sometimes the L2 cache is also comes closer to the processor chip. So these are the basically the two types of cache. One is primary cache and the other is the secondary cache. The primary cache is having the faster access time in comparison to the secondary cache, but the primary cache is of smaller size in comparison to the secondary cache. So moving to the next slide. Now there is an important concept of locality of reference, which we already studied in the previous class. So since size of cache memory is less as compared to the main memory, so to check which part of the main memory should be given priority and loaded in the cache is decided based on the locality of reference. So basically, they are of two types. One is temporal locality and the second is spatial locality. So let us discuss these type of localities one by one. So first is temporal locality. So a memory location that is referenced is likely to be accessed again in the near future. So basically, whatever the memory is referenced, it is likely to be accessed again in the near future. So it is a form of temporal locality. So the second point is data is brought into cache, expecting it to be used again. So basically, the temporal locality means basically uh, is it depends on the time factor. So whatever is referenced in the near future, it can be it has much more probability to be referenced again. So these are this is based on the time factor. The second is the spatial locality, which is based on the space concept. So the memory locations near the last access are likely to be accessed in the near future. So basically, if a memory location say 4000 is accessed this time, then the memory location which is much more closer to the memory location 4000 like to 3999 and 4001 will have much more probability to be accessed in the near future. So it basically relates to with the space. So lines are copied into cache, so adjacent addresses are available. So basically the locality of reference deals with the two properties. One is time and the second is space. And they are termed as the temporal locality and the spatial locality. So all of you understand this concept? Just write in the chat box. Okay. So moving to the next slide. Now the next topic is execution of program. So whenever any program has to be executed, it first loaded in the main memory. So as you already run the your laptop or the desktop, and you know that the main memory is basically the second name of main memory is basically RAM, random access memory. So whenever a program is going to be executed, it first loads in the main memory or in RAM. So the portion of the program that is mostly probably going to be executed in the near future is kept in the cache memory. So basically the cache memory contains those programs which are likely to be executed more than once, or which you can say that these programs are frequently executed. That type of program which are frequently executed, we can store in cache memory. So this allows CPU to access the most probable portion at a faster speed, because the program is loaded in the cache memory, so it can be accessed by the CPU with much more faster speed. So this is the concept of cache memory. So moving to the next slide, we here we started the execution of program. Now we are elaborating or discussing it in more detail in the next slides. So in the step 1, whenever CPU requires any word or memory, it is first searched in the CPU register. As we already know from the memory hierarchy diagram, that at level 0, the registers are there. So basically the CPU first check whether the word of memory is already present in the register. So now there are two cases possible. Either the word is present in the register or the word is not present in the register. So in the case 1, if the required word is found in the CPU register, it is read from there. The second probability is there. If the required word is not found in the CPU register, then step 2 is followed. So basically at level 0, at the level 0 CPU registers are there. If at level 0 that word is not found in the memory, then we move to the level 1. So at level 1, we move to the cache memory. So this is the first step. If the word is not found in the CPU register, then we move to the level 1, which is the step 2. So moving to the next slide. So it is step 2. When the required word is not found in the CPU register, it is searched in the cache memory. So as we know that cache memory is at level 1. So tag directory of the cache memory is used to search whether the required word is present in the cache memory or not. As the word is not present in the CPU register, we move to the cache memory. But in the cache memory also, we also need to know that whether that word is present in the cache memory or not. So here also two cases are possible. So in the first case, if the required word is found in the cache memory, the word is delivered to the CPU. This is known as cache hit. Just a minute, someone is waiting in the lobby. So basically there are two possibilities here. If the required word is found in the cache memory, the word is delivered to the CPU. So this is known as cache hit, because the word we are going to found is present in the cache memory. That's why it is called as cache hit. The second possibility is that if the required word is not found in the cache memory, then step 3 is followed. And this is known as cache miss. You need to remember these words, cache hit and cache miss, because in your exams, there are some numericals which are based on the cache hit and cache miss also. So whenever a word is found in the cache memory, it is called as cache hit. And whenever a word is not found in the cache memory, it is called as cache miss. So all of you understand it? Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. Okay. Now we are moving to step 3. So when the required word is not found in the cache memory, it is searched in the main memory. So page table is the concept which is related to the main memory. So page table is used to determine whether the required page is present in the main memory or not. So there is also two possibilities, whether maybe the page is present in the main memory or it may not be present in the main memory. So moving to the next slide. So here also two cases exist. In the case 1, if the page containing the required word is found in the main memory, so the page is mapped from the main memory to the cache memory. So this mapping is performed using cache mapping techniques, and these are very important mapping techniques, and it is the most important topic of unit 4, cache mapping techniques, and we will going to discuss it in detail in our next classes. So then the required word is delivered to the CPU. So in this case, the required word is found in the main memory, and after that, from the main memory, it goes to the cache memory, and after the cache memory, it is delivered to the CPU, as the cache memory lies between the main memory and the CPU. So this is the case when the word is found in the main memory. Then moving to the next slide. In the case 2, if the page containing the required word is not found in the main memory, then a page fault occurs. So this term is also used while solving the questions. A page fault is occur when the word we are finding is not found in the main memory. So the page containing the required word is mapped from the secondary memory to the main memory. So as we know that the main memory is at level 2. So if the word is not found in the main memory, then we search that word in the level 3 and the level 4. So level 3 and level 4 are basically part of the secondary memory. So we need to search that word in the secondary memory, either in level 3. If it found in level 3, then it returns to the CPU for execution, and if it not found in the level 3, then we can move it to the level 4 for finding that word. Then the page is mapped from the main memory to the cache memory. So then the required word is delivered to the CPU. So these are the steps for execution of the program. We are first searching at level 0, then we search at level 1, then we search at level 2, and so on, in order to execute that word in the CPU, and in order to execute that program. So all of you understand this concept? Just remember the memory hierarchy diagram which we discussed in our last class. the level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. The pyramid type of diagram is very important in order to understand the memory and in order to solve the numericals which are based on memory hierarchy. So just write in the chat box so that we can move further. There are other participants are there. Akshat Jain, Pratibha Soni, Priyanka, Ritika. All of you understand the concept? Okay. So moving to the next slide. The next topic is applications of cache memory. So these are some important applications of cache memory. The fast speed of cache memory makes it extremely useful. So that's why we are using the cache memory for interacting with the CPU. The second is it is used for bridging the speed mismatch between the fastest CPU and the main memory. So basically, its main task is to bridge the speed mismatch between the CPU and the main memory. The third application is it does not let the CPU performance suffer due to the slower speed of the main memory. So even if the speed of the main memory is slow in comparison to the CPU, but the the but the speed mismatch is being covered by the cache memory. So these are some of the very important applications of the cache memory. So moving to the next slide. So next comes the concept of multi-level cache organization. So a multi-level cache organization means more than one cache are present in the organization. So a multi-level cache organization is an organization where cache memories of different sizes are organized at multiple levels to increase the processing speed to a greater extent. So here different sizes of cache are present in order to increase the processing speed of the CPU. So the smaller the size of the cache, the faster its speed. The smallest size cache memory is placed closest to the CPU. So these are some of the important points of multi-level cache, and we are going to discuss its diagram in the next slide. So this helps to achieve better performance. This helps to achieve better performance in terms of speed. So this is multi-level cache organization, and in the next slide we will going to discuss its diagram. So moving to the next slide. So as you can see from the diagram, you can see a main memory is there, a CPU is there, and in between the CPU and the main memory there are different sizes of cache available there. This is level 1 cache, then the level 2 cache, then the level 3 cache. As you can see, the cache memory which is closest to the CPU is having the smallest size, which is also known as level 1 cache, but this cache is the fastest of among all the caches. Then the intermediary size cache is placed between the level 1 and the level 2 cache, and the largest size cache is placed nearer to the main memory. So as you can see from the diagram, so you can also, this is the expression written here that the size of the main memory is greater than the size of the L3 cache is greater than size of L2 and is greater than size of L1. So in the diagram, three level cache organization consists of three cache memories, which is known as L1 cache, L2 cache, and L3 cache of different sizes, organized at three different levels. So the cache memory is not present uh, only singly, but it can be placed in the form of organization. It can be a two level organization if there are two caches are present, like level 1 and level 2. So it can be three level, because here three levels of cache are present, and it can be of many more levels. But the thing is, the cache memory always placed between the CPU and the main memory. So all the levels are placed between the CPU and the main memory. So all of you understand this from the diagram. Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. Okay. Now the next topic is cache mapping. So this is very important topic, and we will going to discuss it in detail in our next classes. So that basically its definition is that the cache mapping is define how a block from the main memory is mapped to the cache memory in the case of cache miss. So basically we are going to map a block from the main memory to the cache memory. In the case of cache miss means uh, the word we are the required word is not found in the cache. That's why we move to the level 2 in order to found that word. And the mapping between the main memory and the cache memory is called as the cache mapping. The other definition is that the cache mapping is a technique by which the content of the main memory are brought into the cache memory. So it can only be done in case of cache miss, because in the cache we don't found that word. That's why we move further to the main memory in order to find that word. So this is the definition of cache mapping. Basically it is a technique by which the 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 word from the main memory are brought into the cache memory. So moving to the next slide. So as you can see from the diagram, this is the main memory and this is the processor. In between the processor, which is also known as the CPU, in between the CPU and the main memory, a cache also exists. So as you can see that data transfer between the register and cache is known as words, and the data transfer between the cache and main memory is known as block. So from the word the transfer from the main memory to the cache memory is known as cache mapping. So we are going to discuss cache mapping here, but here in this diagram you also see the virtual memory mapping is also there. And if we don't found that word in the main memory, then we need to move to the secondary memory, which is at level 3 and level 4 of the memory hierarchy. Then if we need to uh, need to find that word in the secondary memory, and we need to move that word from the secondary memory to the main memory, then that type of mapping is known as the virtual memory mapping. And this concept we are going to discuss after we finished the cache memory. The topic is virtual memory, which we going to discuss after the cache memory topic. So these are the two types of mapping. The cache mapping is between the main memory and the cache memory. So you need to remember the direction. So the direction of the data is between the main memory to to the cache memory. And in the same way, the virtual memory concept is between the secondary memory and the main memory. So here also the direction is from the secondary memory to the main memory. Because the thing is, the important thing is that we need to process all the data in the CPU, because the execution only performs in the CPU or the processor. So we need to transfer the data either from the secondary memory or the main memory to the CPU in order to execute that data. So, but the form of mapping is different. The mapping which takes place from the main memory to cache memory is called as the cache mapping, and in the same way, the mapping which takes place from the secondary storage to the main memory is called as the virtual memory mapping. So just remember this diagram. It is very important uh, from the theory point of view. Whenever you ask any question related to the memory, you can just draw this diagram. This diagram explain all the concept from the all the concept of memory. So all of you understand this concept? Just write in the chat box. Just remember this diagram. This diagram is very important. Okay. So moving to the next slide. So there are some very important points to remember. So first is main memory is divided into equal size partitions called as blocks or frames. Here remember the word, the main memory is divided into equal size partitions. So equal size partitions are called as blocks or frames. Cache memory is divided into partitions having same size as that of the blocks called as lines. So the the blocks of the main memory and the blocks of the same of the cache memory are having the same size, but in the main memory these are called as blocks or frames, and but in the cache memory these are called as lines. So just remember the terminology. The terminology is different in main memory and in the cache memory. So during cache mapping, blocks from the main memory is simply copied to the cache, and the block is not actually brought from the main memory. So basically, when we transfer a block from the main memory to the cache memory, the block is actually copied and not transferred. You should remember this very important point. A copy is present in the main memory as well as that copy is transferred to the cache memory. Not the actual block is basically you can all know that it is only copied, not the cut. Not we are cutting that data and just transferring it to the cache memory. So after copying, so both the cache memory and the main memory are having that block in in them. So these are very important points to remember. So moving to the next slide. So now comes a very important topic known as cache mapping techniques. So from this topic, 100% question will be coming in your exam, because this topic uh, is very much important for theory as well as numerical questions point of view. Many numerical questions are being framed from this topic. So basically, the cache mapping is performed using following three different techniques. So first is direct mapping, second is fully associative mapping, and the third is K-way set associative mapping. Is just an extension of the direct mapping, and the fully associative mapping is basically the combination of direct mapping and the fully associative mapping, and its name is K-way set associative mapping. So these are the three mapping techniques. First is direct mapping, then the fully associative mapping, and the last is K-way set associative mapping. So let us discuss each of these mapping techniques one by one. So first is direct mapping. So as its name suggests, direct mapping. So a particular block of main memory can map only to a particular line of the cache memory. So here we are restricting uh, a particular block of main memory is only mapped to a particular block and not all the blocks. So the line number of the cache to which a particular block can map is given by. We already discussed that in the cache it is called as the line, whereas in the main memory it is called as the block. So we can, here we are mapping the block to the line of the cache. So this is the formula, or this is the formula of direct mapping cache. So cache line number is equal to main memory block address modulo. Modulo means the remainder part. This is the modulo symbol. Modulo number of lines in cache. So you just need to remember this formula, because this formula is very important when we are going to solve the numericals in our next class. So the cache line number is basically the main memory block number modulo number of lines in cache. So moving to the next slide. So as you can see from the diagram much more clearly that this is the cache memory and this is the main memory. We are going to transfer a block from the main memory to the cache memory. So as you can see, the cache memory is divided into n number of lines. As you can see, there are line number 0, line number 1 and so on up to line number n. And the main memory is also divided into number of blocks. So here you can see a block j of main memory can map to the line number j mod n only of the cache memory. We need to map this block, the block number j of the main memory to the to this line of the cache memory. And according to the formula which we discussed in the previous slide, it is termed as j mod n. Um, so this is the formula. So in the direct mapping, the block j is only mapped to this block of the cache and not to any other block. You also see in the diagram of the cache there are some other fields are there. This is known as the tag fields. And the tag field is present in every block of the or every line of the cache memory. So let us discuss in detail in the next slide. All of you understand this type of mapping?
Hello, sir.
Okay. So I am expanding this slide.
Hello, sir.
Now it is visible to all of you. Now it is visible to all of you. Just write in the chat box. Okay. No, sir. Uh, how, how many of you see this slide now? Okay. So Okay. So let us discuss the direct mapping once again, as the slide is not visible to you. As you can see from the diagram, that this is the cache memory and this is the main memory. As you can see, the cache memory is divided into n number of lines. As you can see, line number 0, line number 1, so that last line number n. And the same way the main memory is divided into blocks. So only 5 minutes are left. So we are just going to discuss the direct mapping in this class. So the main memory is divided into number of blocks. So as you can see from the diagram, so from the diagram you can see the block J of the main memory can map to the line number J mod n only of the cache. As you can see, the block J of the main memory is going to be mapped to the line J mod n. So this formula we already know from our previous slide. So as you can also see in the cache memory diagram, and another field is there which is known as the tab field. So tab field is also there in the direct in the cache memory. So we will going to discuss in the later slide what is this tab fields. So this is the mapping. All of you understand it. So this type of mapping is known as the direct mapping. And here you can see why it is called as the direct mapping, because block J is only mapped to only this block of the cache memory and not to any other block of the cache memory. That's why it is called as the direct mapping. All of you understand it? Just write in the chat box so that we can move further. So, am I audible to all of you or not? Okay. So we will going to continue this. We will going to continue this class in the in the next session. Now leave this meeting.